Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is Jason, the creator of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2, and I'll be doing a quick summary of version 0.9. So I've had a very large mod update just released that I wanted to go through and cover some of the updates. The focus on this one again has been on quality of life improvements based on the community's feedback. Thank you again, guys, at the Discord channel and on the Nexus for providing so much feedback. It's been critical for making these changes and actually be able to apply some of the things that you guys have asked for. And so I've gone through and I've made a lot of updates, and I want to try to break down some of those. And to help show those, this time I've actually selected the casual survivor version of the mod so that I can actually try to outline some of these things without having to move so fast through the city. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and try to summarize some of the change log while playing, but I'm going to start also just highlighting some of the overall summary of the mod. So versus the vanilla version, you can see here as soon as we step into the playing field, we immediately get those zombies are moving towards our player. When you move into the UV light, it kind of causes them to basically lose that target, and this helps prevent them from coming inside the base, kind of thing. But right now, as soon as you step out, we now have much faster moving shamblers. We have the zombies paying attention to where you are, trying to grab you and trying to move towards you at all times. So the concept here for the casual survivor is to keep moving and make sure you have the weapons to fight your way through the horde. For our screamers, I've continued to update some of the code here to where they now are critical to the gameplay. So some of the updates that I've made for them are related to the configuration files and being able to use those configuration files to style the game how you would like to play. One of those options that's been added to the configuration for the HUD over in general is the ability to turn off the icons for these howlers. So if you want to hide them out in the map to where you don't know what you're up against, where they're coming from, then you can hide these guys into the map and then bring down the map on top of you when you run into them. But essentially, the idea behind these guys is that they now induce a chase mode that also has the rest of the special of infected. So previously, when you had a chase begin, it was mainly just virals and volatiles that would chase the player. I've reworked some of this to where now we actually have. Oof, I gotta get moving. So we actually have Banshees and other special infected joining the fray, also trying to chase the player. And so I'm going to go ahead and start a chase here by choice or not, and I didn't move fast enough. So let me try that again. Hopefully that's not going to spawn me in that basement. Hopefully it'll spawn me up top. I'll keep talking about a couple of the features while we respawn here. Continuing to look at persistence. So you die and now you're back in the world. So previously, if you arrive at a destination that you previously were at, you can expect that the special infected that were chasing you before will also be there waiting for you, and so you will not get off as easy. Oof. We also have Goons and Demolishers added to the list as well. So Banshees will stalk the player, but then Goons and Goons and Demolishers will also make their way into the playfield and start looking for the player. I've upgraded the Demolishers to where the Demolishers will mimic a playstyle similar to the tanks off Left 4 Dead. So essentially, they are going to try to rain down artillery onto you from the ground, but then they will also now run and jump and climb the buildings to try to get into position to chase down the player and kill you. And so you're not just up against the volatiles now, and I knew I was the more I talk now. So the knights have been scaled up to where the knights are much more difficult now. And so you're going to want to take a look at your configuration settings and maybe dial down some of those volatiles. So this is with the standard number of volatiles as before. And the problem with that is as you can see here, we now have a knight that is much more deadly than before. And so we now have these volatiles appearing from all sides, and so that's going to make it much harder to navigate the city at night. If you're not looking for that kind of play style, again, all of that is in the configuration files, and so you should be able to set those to where you can bring in as many volatiles or as few volatiles as you want. Now that we have these additional creatures inside the world, also with the number of howlers. So as the howlers start to scream, they will bring in other howlers. So as howlers start to converge on that area, they have a probability of spawning more special infected. So the longer you hang out in an area, the more likely you are to continue to bring in new special zombies. So the world will get more intense, will get more dangerous as you stay in that area. And as the added benefit, as I mentioned before, is that even if you die, it doesn't always despawn those special infected. So they will still keep coming after you. You will still have to get away from them when you arrive at the new location. What this also does is forces the player to not be able to use those small sleep zones as easily as big bases. So before we have this idea of these UV zones, of this very small UV zone up on a building that's just kind of a sleeping bag with no defense. Well, that will no longer really help you. Now you want to try to get to a base and get to a base as fast as possible to end the chase and to reset the zombies. So you can see here, here's an example of our Demolisher getting into position to be able to throw these rocks at the player and then get closer for the kill. So they will charge, they will do whatever they have to try to get in here closer and kill the player. One of the added benefits of this is that as you're trying to run through the map, you can no longer just slowly outpace these guys. You actually have to stay mobile and continue to look for your exits. Just simply making a few quick jumps will no longer get you away, but you'll actually have to fight to get away now. Goons will also spawn in, as I mentioned. I don't see any in here yet, but again, all of this is based on probability. So any one time that you have a screamer detect you and a chase begin, it doesn't always result in the exact same type of chase. So one time you may end up with a very, very large amount of zombies versus the next time you may end up with only one special type of zombie. With the Banshees, I've updated a lot of their core code to where they are now meant to stalk the player, and so they will actually go very far out of their way to chase the player down and to keep eyes on the player as you're moving through the map. So one of the cool features that I've added that I can't wait to hear your guys' feedback on is now we have this idea of Banshees in the world that can track the player. So even if you die and you've called in a chase, if Banshees spawn, then they have the potential for continuing to chase the player even after they've died. And this is true of several of the other special infected as well, so that you will now have to consider that they may be out on the map looking for you. So if you are slowly moving back towards an area that you were previously being chased, they may also be heading your way through that same area. This doesn't always work, and I'm still learning the spawn system that they have in the game. And so sometimes this effect happens, sometimes it doesn't, which is an added bonus right now that you'll get a random experience each time, and that should help continue to drive forward the point that no one playthrough is exactly the same. So I will mention we still have our glitched howler in the game, so no matter what I can do or what I've tried with the encounter code, he still keeps showing up. So this really is a glitch with one of the prefabs in the game that's on the developer side that I'm not able to impact right now. So I'll keep looking for it, but I do think that that's going to have to be something that they patch. I've also improved the grenade systems, so damage will be increased for all of the grenades for each level, and so you're more likely to do actual damage now with the grenades, even from the first grenade. I've also increased the damage for the explosive arrows as well, so that you can displace and offset these enemies as they're charging you with these different weapons to try to clear areas, but also give you a fighting chance over these guys. One of the other added benefits is that I've also rebalanced some of the goons code to where the goon will actually now start to move the other zombies out of the way. Before, he was glitching on the other zombies as he was charging. So now he'll actually start to move them out of the way, and he'll actually do a small amount of damage to the zombies as he's running through them. So you can actually mow down large amounts of the zombies by utilizing the goon to essentially flatten these guys, but that requires you to basically stick around long enough to make sure that he's doing enough damage to these different zombies as you're moving through the space. So that doesn't always work, but it is now a play style that I'm hoping to support here in the future. Also, one of the things that I have redone, that I redid, was the UI. So I'm continuing to look at UI configurations that are ideal for the playstyle that I'm going for with I Am Legion. And so for that, I've started with the different icon displays for the different things around the world. I've set these up with the config files so that you can go in there and set some of these values of different things that you want to see throughout the map. And to help with that, I've also gone through and I felt that the original UI color. Some people also mentioned that they didn't know if the mod was working properly or not. Well, you should be able to now see the standard colors of I Am Legion Reborn on the actual UI in the game. And so as you're running through the game, you'll start to notice that the map and different systems are different colors, but all of that has also been hooked up to the config, so you can go in there and set those colors as you desire. So if you now want to change different quests or different clan groups and that kind of thing to a specific color, you can very easily set this for yourself and make your own configuration for your playthrough. We move over here towards the church here. I want to find a goon really quickly, which I believe there's one in between these cars here. I've also looked at the impact code, so I'm working a little bit with the effect system to try to make the impacts feel more substantial. So dialing in different special effects and that kind of thing with the dust system and other impact systems in the game. So I'm continuing to still look at that and move those forward, and hopefully those will fit with your expectations. So if we see here, the goon is now the threat on the ground. So he moves very quickly on the ground and will move, like I mentioned, will move those other zombies out of the way to get at the player. The Demolisher is the one that you now have to worry about moving up on top of the buildings and climbing the different buildings. But this guy is essentially just going to constantly try to get at the player and take out the player on the ground. He also has his upward swing, which he will do very often now. So as soon as he gets near, he will actually just try to get you off of these surfaces and then get around to you. I've also set up a lot of his line of sight code to where he's fairly angry while he can see you, but then he's also kind of stupid, so he will attack and constantly be trying to get at the player while he can see the player, but if you can get away from him long enough, he will lose sight and he will start to fall off trying to attack the player. And so this will help with a very large amount of goons so that you can try to set expectations for clearing different areas and not having to deal with 3 or 4 goons all trying to get at the player and not knowing if you can actually get up off the ground in that area. So you might be able to actually move around the corners and position yourself to where you can find high ground and that kind of thing to get away from him. Additionally, one of the things that's been requested for by players that I took a first pass at were the trading values. So I've gone through and updated the sell values for the different sets of weapons. And so I think I've set a fairly realistic level for the selling value based on whether or not you're selling basic items or whether you're selling colored sets. That should be a little bit more realistic. The default values were very low and kind of very unbalanced, in my opinion. They were essentially giving 1% of the value for all weapons and all range weapons, melee weapons, common items, that kind of thing. And so this should help with a lot of that. So additionally, the detection and movement behavior for a lot of these zombies is being reworked. I spent a large amount of this update trying to research injecting new zombies into the game, and I think I've had a couple of reports of people saying that they've spotted these different zombies out in the world. I've left all of this code intact, and so you should be getting new types of zombies. So to talk about a couple of those different ones really quickly, we have the concept of the child zombies. So we have children zombies inside the game. That you have the biter version, and you also have the regular or the viral version of the zombies. And so you may see children running and screaming at you, or you may see them slowly moving throughout the game, the play space. I've also worked up Banshee children, so having a female child who's built off the Banshee code, and so you may potentially see her moving through the world as well. Really quickly, we make sure that I have all of my notes here. I believe that's most of the things in the game so far. As I mentioned, most of this is coming in at the last hour here for my day, and so I will try to have a better video mocked up showing the intensity of the game. As I mentioned, this is the casual survivor mode, and so this version is going to be a little less intense than you can expect from the game if you're doing the ultimate survivor mode, as many of you know. But I wanted to make sure to try to highlight some of the updated changes for the game, and I really look forward to your guys' feedback. Hopefully you guys enjoy the new chase system with these new spawned in zombies, and also the persistence system. I did confirm that systems like being able to clear an area and then come back later, and it's still being clear, seems to be working fairly well. And so I'm confident that we can continue to dial in that system so that when you're playing co-op with your friends, you guys can go and actually clear the streets, and when you return, those streets actually remain clear. The biggest benefit for this is that it's going to be during the daytime. I will also mention that reminds me that there are a few new custom encounters added to the game that are based off of the bandits. And so these are all set to a percentage, so it will not happen all the time. But you now have the concept of ambushes that will happen based on if they get a chance to sound their summoning horn. If they do call their summoning horn, you can get a mix of different types of bandits that show up to attack, and so we'll have to. I look forward to hearing your guys' different experiences with those spawned in groups. I think it should be pretty fun. But a lot of this, so one of the things that was mentioned was this renegade character that showed up as their bowman. So they have removed the concept the of the bandit bowman from the game. So there's currently not a visual, and as far as I can tell, I'm actually blocked from adding new skins or being able to modify that code at this time. So I'll continue to keep trying, but I appreciate your guys' support and letting me know that it is a little off to have that character show up with the bandits, and I'll continue to try to look for those solutions. So again, my name is Jason, and this is I Am Legion Reborn 0.9. It's been a long journey to get here. I appreciate all your guys' support, all your guys' feedback. I really look forward to hearing back from you guys. I will be doing a configuration file video as well. That file has gotten fairly extensive, and I look forward to hearing all your guys' feedback on these different systems. But to quickly cover the configuration update, you guys should be able to use the previous video that was done until I get a chance to put out the new video. There are a couple of new options here, so if you have saved this file off to the side, in order to get all of the new updates, you'll just need to do a compare and make sure that your settings get into the new version. I'm trying to cut down on the amount of times that this happens so that you guys can maintain your configurations as we go. But I did add the time scale based on request, along with a new one, which is at the end here, which is a very long interface system. So you can actually go in here and set all of the different colors for all of the different GUI options. For the most part, some of them are color specific. They actually made the icons themselves specific colors. So some of them are not currently working, but some of them do. And then down at the very bottom are the toggles for what information you want to show on the actual 3D HUD. So if you want to get rid of things like special infected so you can't see them in the game, if you want to get rid of howler icons, if you want to get rid of in-game zombie icons, whatever it is, I try to find different ones and hook these files up. So you should be able to just go in here and set these true or false and turn those things off. There were a couple also hidden ones that were off by default. Experiment with these. Let me know what you think. Things like bandit camps having an icon, that was turned off by default. So you can't turn on certain things that weren't even in the original game. Thank you guys so much, and it was great being able to get you guys another update. I look forward to the release of 1.0. That should be coming here in the near future. I want to try to now move over to the actual inventory systems, the weapon systems, and flush out some of the systems that I have not had an opportunity to get to yet. I believe the AI system is well on its way to being complete for 1.0, and I look forward to your guys' feedback to make sure that it's ideal for your playthrough. All right, thank you guys. And if you guys have any questions, I look forward to talking. I did update the stamina, the no stamina drain as an optional on the Nexus, and I have also undone a couple of these stamina changes that I made previously, so that you should be able to go and set those things up how you want them, and also you should have less of the negative effects of the stamina drain that were happening before. Okay guys, thank you so much.